Here is problem number 2. So let's write it as a matrix. 3, 6, 3, 2, 9, negative 8. So our first thing, we work a column at a time, get column 1 done. I always make my ones first. So to make something a 1, there's a lot of ways to make something a 1. Like, we could take negative 1 times row 2 and add it up. I mean, there's a lot of ways to make something a 1, but sometimes people aren't great about getting super creative with the other ways to make a 1. The surefire way to always make a 1 is to take a row and divide it by wherever itself. Any 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So that's the most surefire way to make a 1. I'll admit that anytime you're dividing, there is the chance you're going to introduce fractions into the problem. Fractions don't really bother me that much, so I tend to just kind of do it that way. But I'll also point out some ways that you could add, because you can add to make a 1 also. All right, but we made our 1. Next thing we do is we make our 0. So we're going to take negative 2 and we're going to multiply everything in row 1 by negative 2, and we're going to add it to row 2. So we're going to multiply that by negative 2, that by negative 2, and that by negative 2. The numbers in parentheses do not become a permanent part of the problem, so I still have 1, 2, 1. I add it, I get 0. I add it, I get 5. I add it, I get negative 10. So column 1 is done. Woohoo! On to column 2. We get our 1 first, so I need a 1 to be right there. So I'm going to say row 2 divided by 5. Now, one thing I failed to say in the first video is this right here, these are called your row operations, and I absolutely, positively must see them. If I don't see your row operations, you are asking me to read your mind. And like on those bigger 3x3s that we're about is going to be the next problem, you're asking me to read your mind 12 times in one problem. And that's just not going to happen, nor is it going to bode well for you points-wise. So I have to see your row operations. So 0 divided by 5 is 0. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. So we're almost done. We just need a 0 to be right there. So we're going to say negative 2 times row 2, and we're going to add it up to row 1. So we're going to multiply that by negative 2, that by negative 2, and that by negative 2. And we add it, and we keep our 1. We add it, and we make our 0. We add it, and we get 5. And then the numbers in parentheses never become a permanent part of the problem. So x equals negative 5, or I think it's just a 5 that was kind of messy because my paper moved on me. And y equals negative 2. All right, on to the next problem in the next video, which is a 3x3.